Now let's talk some Disney. Disney taking full control of Hulu effective immediately, the company's announcing on Tuesday. Now, Jason, Comcast is the parent company of NBC Universal, which has a 33% stake in Hulu. Comcast has an agreement to sell that stake in Hulu to Disney in 2024 at a valuation of at least $27.5 billion. What do you think of Disney and Hulu?
Yeah, well, we've talked about this a lot on Motley Full Money, on MarketFoolery, and I think I've said for a while, I felt like everything was ultimately going to revolve around Hulu for Disney at some point. It was just a matter of time before they worked out a deal. And I do think the most important part of this deal, at least for Disney, and this had to have been a non-negotiable, I would imagine, is that Disney needs full control of this thing immediately. I mean, they do not have any more time to waste in rolling out Iger's ultimate vision here as it comes to, I don't want to say one app, but it really is this family of apps that is just turning into this entertainment universe between Hulu and Disney Plus and ESPN Plus and whatever comes down the pike for them. But I think those are the big three, right, for Disney, and that's what really matters here. So time was of the essence.
And you mentioned Disney Plus. One of the things that really turned some heads was Disney's announcement that Disney Plus is only going to cost around $6.99 per month. So that's essentially half of Netflix. And what we learned from this story that we're talking about right now is that NBC Universal now reconsidering the price of their streaming service, which was going to be what, around double of what Disney was going to do?
Astounding to me that they would even entertain trying to sell that subscription for $12 a month. If we look at Netflix and you feel like Netflix is a pretty forgettable price in that you're getting an awful lot for a fairly low amount. So people can say, well, I don't even really remember what the price is. And that's somewhere in the neighborhood of $15. I think that pricing Disney Plus and or ESPN Plus in that $5.99, $6.99 range is super forgettable. And I think that's a wonderful strategy on Disney's part because people will subscribe and immediately forget that they have it, and they'll just always have it and recognize that they've got a lot of value because of the content there. For NBC to even entertain pricing that app at $12 is beyond me. At $10, which is now what they're apparently considering, I still find to be way, way overpriced when you think about what you might be getting with it. But I do feel like, and I said this a couple of weeks ago, I feel like these legacy networks, CBS and NBC and ABC, their better opportunity, I think their real opportunity is to figure out a way to be a part of that Hulu universe, because I think we've hit peak app downloads for folks in the entertainment market. I don't want to download any more apps to watch the content that I want to watch. I don't think you do either.
No.
Dan was very clear before taping that he doesn't want to either.
Very, very clear. Emphatic, I would say.
Emphatic, indeed. You could put an exclamation point on the end of every one of our sentences there. And I think that for NBC, it's going to be interesting to watch this shake out because their two biggest crown jewels, I guess we could say, would be what? Friends and The Office. Right. And those are right now on Netflix. And we've already seen how the talk is shaking out there. Eventually, NBC is going to take that stuff back. I don't even think that they could take those two crown jewels to support their own app. I think at some point or another, we're going to see NBC try to figure out a way to be part of that Hulu universe. And I think that they've done a good job with Hulu in building that live offering along with a separate streaming offering if you just want that. They're getting some good original content on there and ultimately, giving Disney the control to build that thing out the way they want to, I think is going to work out well for them over time.
Yeah, and it's interesting to note that currently NBC getting around $500 million a year for its content on Hulu. So there's some economics that they've got to weigh here.
Well, there are, and you want to ask the question because for NBC it's a legitimate question. They have to answer this and think, okay, well, do we want to be a part of the Netflix universe, which is massive distribution, a tremendous audience, right? A lot of people subscribe to Netflix. Do you want to be a part of that universe for potentially a shorter period of time and make a lot of money up front? Or would you rather lay the groundwork to be a part of that Hulu universe for a much longer period of time, even though you may not be making as money up front on some of those most valuable properties? It's kind of that long-term investor versus the short-term investor. They're going to have to answer that. I think I would always opt for seeing the forest for the trees there and go for the longer view. But regardless, I mean, I think this is all shaking out essentially how we thought it was going to shake out, and that Disney gets ultimate control of Hulu, which is what they always wanted. Comcast and NBC gets a nice little put option there on top of it all. And so I think it's a deal that works out well for both.